Hello, Internet. Got my November art snacks came in, so I thought we should take a look at it today. See what we've got inside. Bird has some opinions, it seems. See what we've got here. I appreciate them sending this in a plastic bag this time. They didn't used to, and a couple of times, very, very early on, I got them with the plastic. The rubber here had been pulled to the side because it was pushed up against the wall. And ink everywhere. Was it like silver? It's kind of a greenish color. Got here, neutral gray. Okay, well that's interesting. It's not sure what I'm going to do with a neutral gray. Unless everything else is black and white. Airhead's not really my thing, but I think my partner will like that, so I'll give that to him. Box to the side here. Sticker, a very important part of box. Paintbrush. It's Karen Dash. I wonder if that's watercolor. Ultramarine. Ooh, another Plumchester. Excellent. This is the same thing I use as my primary brush pen. So we've got, this is waterproof, it's acrylic. Pigmented, waterproof when dry. So I have waterproof gray, waterproof black, watercolor blue, and a brush. Generally speaking, I like to avoid using the waterproof inks with my watercolor brushes, because if you don't clean it out very quickly and very thoroughly, you can end up with some clumping in the brush. So I will also be using one of these nibs, my pen. Start with some swatches. Now the Plumchester, this is the primary brush. This is the primary brush pen that I use for pretty much everything. Now, Plumchester is a brand that ArtSnacks puts out. I'm not sure if they partnered with them or if they originated it, but I believe they are exclusively sold through ArtSnacks. One of the things I like about this pen is that it doesn't erase back up. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen I put pencil down and then I go over it with the ink, and then I take an eraser to it after the ink is dry. And some of the inks come back up with the pencil when you run the eraser over. The Plumchester one is pretty good about not doing that. I won't say never, but it's better than a lot of the other ones. The pencil here, the Caran d'Ache, is ultramarine, and it's an aquarelle. Let's get some water on that. I should probably use the one that actually came with the box instead of reaching for my default. That is a lot of pigment. Really only recently got into watercolor pencils as opposed to just watercolors. And one of the things I really like is how it leaves the texture behind. You still end up with kind of a ghost. Even here where it's all where the pigment has been picked up really well, you still end up with a ghost of where you laid it down originally. And I think that gives it a nice different texture from just using watercolor out of a tube. And let's draw into wet paper. Nice and fuzzy. Though, where it's wet, you can't do it lightly. It pulls too much pigment down. Let's try the ink. This is acrylic ink, which is not what I usually work with. Not very thick. Then I will pull this out. It's nice and smooth. I like that. I like this, but the ink has got a bit of a color separation here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to pay attention to when you use it. If it's thick, it's got kind of a yellowish green undertone to it that kind of floats in the gray. It's not really visible in the thin lines. Let's try it with a thick one. Yeah, it's a little visible here too, where the line gets spread out. You can see the color variations there are more than just a difference in pressure. It's like yellow and a green along with the gray. So that's something to work with. What can I make with black, blue, gray, waterproof, and watercolor? Well, let's get some paper and find out. One last check before I start drawing. Considering some of these are supposed to be waterproof, I figure I should probably try testing that out. And also try putting some of them over top of each other. So I went and let the swatches dry, and now I'm back here. Well, I already know the plum chester works because I use that all the time. But just a demonstration. Let's see how it does over the Amsterdam. And the other way around. Does this pick anything up? The real question is, does this cover? It does. Wow, it covers it up completely. It's like using whiteout. Doesn't look like it picks it up and mixes with the pigments either. But if we do it wet on wet here. Well, that's okay. That's a little wetter than I intended. Let's just dry that off a little. There we go. Let's try that again. Well, it feathers out nicely. There's actually less feathering from the plum chester than I expected. Even though it's waterproof, putting it into wet, I expected it to act a little bit more like an ink, like a water-based ink. Okay, now it really is time to see what we can do with these colors and these supplies. Right back with some paper. When I'm working in mixed mediums like this, it's always a challenge to find appropriate paper that's not going to just buckle or come apart. This particular one that I'm using is an old Denick notebook that was created back in the day for Inktober, back before that became, you know, eventa non grata. And the paper is it's kind of a very smooth finish on it, so it's going to be good for the ink, but I'm not sure how it'll do with watercolor. Watercolor paper obviously is going to be too porous for the ink, and the texture is maybe a little too much for the watercolor pencils. So I kind of feel like I'm going to need to do some research on papers, different papers, and figure out the best ones to use with each of these mediums. If that's something that you would like to see, let me know down in the comments and I will prioritize that.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live. This morning has a clear light as any to see the horizon and the far. Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was is a wreck. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow.
I was really happy with everything that came this month. Let's go through them individually. Amsterdam acrylic ink in neutral gray. I was really surprised by how well this went onto the paper. I was expecting it to be I don't know, I've had some bad experiences with acrylic ink before. I was expecting it to be a little gloopy maybe, or to be streaky on the paper, but it went on very nice. I will be definitely using this again next to the black ink from the pen. It just came up with some really great shadowing. So I will definitely be using that one again. The Princeton Velvet Touch Series 3950 Synthetic Brush Stroke 1/4 inch. Now, if you've watched many of my videos, you've heard me roundly pan the artificial synthetic brushes. And normally, I don't expect much from them. They are a lot like using those kindergartner supplies that you pick up at the dollar store. There are a few though. My primary watercolor brushes are actually synthetic as well. They're a synthetic sable. And you occasionally get one that's just very silky. It's very smooth. This one, I would not have known that this was synthetic while I was using it if it hadn't said so on the label. This is definitely a hit, and I will be using it again as well. Caran d'Ache Supra Color Soft Aquarelle Pencil. I liked this one. I love this color. This is an ultramarine. It went on very smooth. You could see on the time lapse where it just was very light. It gave a good color when I brought the water onto it. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it other than I definitely recommend them, and they would be great for sketching whether you're using water or not. And then of course my Plumchester 1.5 brush pen. As I mentioned before, this is a duplicate of my normal pen that I use all the time anyway. I definitely very highly recommend the Plumchester brand. It's, as I said before, it's put out by ArtSnacks. It's their own proprietary, and I'm not sure, I think you can only get it through their shop. I'm not sure, I'll have to take a look. And I recommend these. It's waterproof, it's got great control. It comes in a brush pen or fixed size, and you should definitely check them out. I'll make sure that there's a link to it in the description below. Final verdict, I loved everything about this month's box, and I would recommend every single one of these products. There's a description to them in the, there's a link to them in the description individually if you want to try any of them out, and also a link to ArtSnacks. If you subscribe to ArtSnacks or any of the other monthly boxes, I would love to see what you've done with your supplies for this month. Feel free to link them in the comments below, or I was going to say, or tag me on Twitter, but since Twitter is imploding, probably not much longer for the world, where are you going? Where are you posting your art now? Tell me in the comments. Like I said, link me to this month's artwork for you, and I'll see you there. Supra color, supra color, no supra for you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications when I post new videos. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving. See you next time.